Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Star Warrior deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck is an extremely fun deck to play that I've included all sorts of spicy tech cards in this build for you guys. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Todoroki, the Earth Bolt Star. This card is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card is actually a walking polymerization for the deck. You can special summon this card from your hand by sending one other monster from your hand to the graveyard, but this card loses 500 attack points. Also, during the battle phase, quick effect, you can pay 500 life points to fusion summon a warrior fusion monster from your extract using monsters from your hand or field as material, which is a great ability to help you go in for more fusion plays so you can go in for game. We then play 2 copies of Senko, the Skybolt Star. This card is really cool as a 2-of in the deck because if an earth monster is normally special summoned to your field, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from the hand. You can also banish this card in the graveyard and target a level 5 or higher warrior monster that you control, an attack position monster that your opponent controls, and your monster loses exactly 1500 attack points, and if it does, destroy that opponent's monster, which is a great ability to be able to use just to be able to pop a monster on the field. We then played 2 copies of the Sky Star. This card is really cool as a 2-of in the deck, is if only your opponent controls a monster, or if you control an earth monster, you can actually normal summon this card without attributing. And if this card is normally special summon, you can actually special summon a level 5 earth warrior monster from your hand to your side of the field, which is a great effect. Also, once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a warrior monster you control, quick effect, you can make this card lose exactly 500 attack. If you do negate the activation, if you do that, destroy that card, giving you a little bit of protection. We then played 2 copies of the Unity Star. Unity Star is great as a 2-of to help you fusion summon. As this card is the ability, if this card is special summon, you can pay 500 life points to fusion summon a warrior fusion monster from your extract using monsters in your hand or field as fusion material. And during your opponent's turn, if this card's in the graveyard and you control a level 5 or higher warrior monster whose current attack is different from its original attack, quick effect, you can actually special summon this card to your side of the field, which is a great ability to be able to use, especially with cards like Todoroki. We then played 2 copies of the Hidden Star. This card is really good as a 2-of in the deck, and it helps out a lot in this build because it's kind of like a foolish burial for the deck. But you can actually special summon this card from your hand by tributing a light or an earth warrior monster, and if you do, this card gains the attack equal to the tributed monster's original attack, so this card can get absolutely massive. This card also has the ability that you can banish one warrior monster from your graveyard and then send a light or an earth warrior monster from your deck to the graveyard, getting the exact card that you need in the graveyard. We then play 3 copies of Pyrite Knight. Pyrite Knight is great as a 3-of in the build and a great support card that we just recently got. This card is usually, if this card's in your hand or your graveyard, you can actually target a warrior monster that's an earth or a fire, which usually we're just targeting earth in this deck that you control, except another copy of this card, return it back to the hand, and if you do special summon this card, then special summon a Pyrite token to your opponent's side of the field that's a warrior, fire, level 4, 0 attack, 2000 defense, to your opponent's side of the field in defense position, and during the battle phase, quick effect, you can actually special summon a warrior monster from your hand to your side of the field, which is such a powerful ability just to help you swarm the board. We then play 3 copies of Amazonas War Chief. This card is amazing in the deck as a 3-of because if you control no monsters or only Amazonas monsters, you can actually special summon this card from the hand, basically making this card a cyber dragon for the deck because you always want to summon this card first to your side of the field. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can actually set an Amazonas spell or trap or a polymerization directly from your deck to your side of the field. Also, you can only attack with Amazonas monsters for the rest of the turn, which is not that big of a deal. This card instantly gets us to polymerization, which is amazing. We then play 3 copies of Joker's Knight. Joker's Knight is such a powerful card to be able to play in the deck because it's a light warrior that's level 5 that can instantly special summon itself to your side of the field by sending a copy of Queen's, King's, or Jack's Knight from your deck to the graveyard. You can instantly put this card out on your side of the field. This card also helps you recycle cards because during the end phase, if this card's in the graveyard, you can actually target one other light warrior monster in the graveyard, shuffle in the deck, and if you add this card back to your hand, which is a great ability. We then play a single copy of Jack's Knight. Jack's Knight is our 1 vanilla vanilla that we play in the deck to be able to send to the graveyard off Joker's Knight so that we can basically summon out our copy of Joker's Knight. Just make sure that you're actually putting your copy of Jack's Knight back into the deck so you can keep using your copy of Joker's Knight over and over again. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's definitely a 3-of-them build just to stop the opponent from touching the deck. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion is really good as a 1-of in the build to be able to summon out our copy of Guiltia to our side of the field to get us a light warrior monster out on the field. We then also play 2 copies of Ready Fusion for the exact same reason, just to help us get an additional monster out on our side of the field that's a light warrior monster. We then play 3 copies of Fusion Armament. This card is amazing in this deck as a 3-of because this card lets us basically use our copy of Edatim just to be able to instantly special summon it out to our side of the field by revealing our copy of Ashura. Directly in our action deck, we can summon out our copy of Edatim with this card's effect because this card lets us reveal a fusion monster in our action deck and special summon a monster that's a material that's specifically mentioned on that monster from our action deck or our graveyard, which is such a powerful effect to instantly get one of our monsters out on our side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Polymerization. Polymerization is definitely a 3-of in the build to go for all of our awesome fusion plays, and it's just a really awesome card to be able to draw in this deck because it's our main way to fuse. We then play 3 copies of Feast of the Wild level 5. We play so many different level 5 monsters in this deck that this card is just amazing in this build because it's basically like a double monster reborn. It lets us special summon up to 2 level 5 warrior monsters from our hand and or graveyard, but their effects are negated. Also, for the rest of the turn, they cannot attack, but it's not that big of a deal because it's instantly giving us 2 monsters that we can use for fusion material or going for other plays. We then play 3 copies of Battle Guard Echoes. Battle Guard Echoes is definitely a 3-of in the deck. It's basically the Rhoda for the deck because when this card is activated, you get to add a level 5 Earth Warrior monster from your deck to your hand, then discard a card. Also, once per turn, if a monster is returned from the field back to the hand, even during the damage step, you can activate one of these effects to add a copy of Battle Guard Rage or Battle Guard Howling from your deck to your hand, or change one face-up monster on the field to face-down defense position, basically being a Book of Moon. This card combines really well with your copy of Pyrite Knight to be able to bounce a monster back to the hand, and then use this card's effect. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 1, and that's going to be 1 copy of Battle Guard Howling. Battle Guard Howling is searchable off your copy of Echoes, which is why we just play this card as a 1-of in the build. This card has the effect that when a monster that you control is targeted for an attack or by an opponent's card effect or monster effect, you can actually target a face-up monster that your opponent controls and inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of that face-up monster that you targeted with this card's effect, and if you do, return it back to the hand, which is a great effect just to do a little bit of burn damage while also bouncing a card. This card is great in the build as a 1-of and just helps a lot overall in the deck. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start with 3 copies of Edatim, the Conqueror's Star. This card is definitely a 3-of in the build and just extremely powerful as a boss monster. This card is a card we usually summon out because it's so easy to summon. This card just requires 2 level 5 or higher warrior monsters to make this card, and if this card is fusion summoned, you can actually add a level 5 warrior monster from your deck to your hand. You only use this effect once per turn. Also, once per turn, you can discard any number of cards from your hand, and this card gains 200 attack for each card discarded, and once per battle during damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster with an equal or lower level, quick effect, you can actually make that opponent's monster's attack become 0 during that damage calculation only, so you can swing in for at least 3,000. We then play 2 copies of Shura the Combat Star, which is actually why we play our copies of Fusion Armament, because this card specifically lists your copy of Edatim as a material, so you can reveal this card and then summon out your copy of Edatim to your side of the field. This card is really good as a boss monster overall. It does require a copy of Edatim plus a level 5 or higher warrior monster, but with Fusion Armament, it's super easy to do. This card has the ability that once per turn, During the battle phase, quick effect, you can make the attack of all face-up monsters that your opponent currently controls 0. And once per battle, if a monster battles another monster during damage calculation, quick effect, you can make each battling monster gain attack equal to their own level times 200 during the damage calculation only. And if this fusion summon card that you control is destroyed by an opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, you can actually special summon a copy of Edotim from your extract, and it is treated as a fusion summon, basically tagging back into your copy of Edotim. We then play a single copy of Raijin. Raijin is just really good as a 1-up in the deck. As if this card attacks, it does inflict piercing damage, which is the main reason we play this card, but it's overall just a great 1-up in the build. We then play a single copy of Guilty Gearfried. This card is really good as a 1-up in the deck as well. It does just require 2 warrior monsters with different attributes to be able to make this card, which is super easy to pull off in the deck. So we're basically playing light and earth warriors. We then play a single copy of Guiltia the D-Knight. This card is great as an instant and ready fusion target, and you can even recycle this card with your copy of Joker's Knight, which is really nice to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Guardian Chimera because we can make it extremely easy in the deck to give us a pop 2 and a draw 1, or a draw 2 and a pop 1, which is great to be able to do with this card. I absolutely love summoning Guardian Chimera. It's actually one of my favorite fusion monsters in the entire game because it's so generic to make. Plus, since we play Polymerization in this deck, you're probably going to target this card with card effects when Polymerization's in the graveyard. We play a single copy of Volcasaurus. Volcasaurus is just really good to summon and do a little bit of burn damage to the opponent by popping a monster. One copy of the Chronomaly Vimana. Vimana is great because this card is a walking negate. We then play a single copy of Gaia Dragon just to give us an additional material under a copy of Zeus. Plus, it's a great option to be able to make overall in this deck. And then play a single copy of Marksman King Tell because it just requires 2 level 5s to be able to make this card. Then we play a single copy of Devicer King. Devicer King can be made on top of your copy of Marksman King, which is really cool to be able to do. And I love that about this card. This card also has a really cool ability that once per chain, when a monster card that your opponent controls activates its effect, quick effect, you can detach 2 materials on this card to be able to attach that opponent's card to this card as a material, basically gobbling up that opponent's card. We then play a single copy of Zeus. Zeus is just fantastic to be able to make in the deck, to be able to use as a board wipe. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Star Warrior deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try. It's very budget to be able to play, and just super fun overall to be able to play, especially this particular build with all the spicy tech cards I've included in this deck for you guys. So, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell and there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.